Good morning.
Morning, Sean. How's
Welcome to
everybody else?
Inside the Huddle, everybody.
Yes, welcome everyone.
Did you get the email I sent, Steve?
No, if
Okay.
you sent it this morning, I haven't reviewed it.
Yeah, I can't remember if I sent Friday, so I resent this
Oh
morning.
no, I didn't get it.
Okay.
Should I go grab? Let me see. I'll pull it up real quick. Go ahead, do your thing, and I'll pull up my emails real quick.
So what Steve and I were talking about last week is that we're getting into business planning season. Probably depending on the office within the next 2 to 3 weeks, end of October, early November. And so we thought we would give you guys a sneak preview of a pre-planning template, I guess. Questions to ask yourself right now that's going to make the business planning workshop so much easier and so much more productive because you've thought through some of the goals and needs.
Got it. Yeah, and I got the email, Sean. It did come this morning. Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah, 6:44.
Right. I was like, did I send that on Friday? Damn it. I don't know if I did.
No, it's all good. This isn't complicated, actually. I think business plans are what they should be simple.
Mm-hmm.
They should be easy to understand. I don't think they should be 7 pages long. I don't think they should look like the business plan for a corporation. They should be so simple as to, when you read it, it is very clear what you should be doing today
Right.
to achieve your goals. Not some, I don't know. Remember the old atlases that we used to rely on so heavily?
Yes.
They
were bound.
The military decided to share some of these satellites they have up in space to help us with this thing called GPS. and now to a gnat's rear end, we can spot ourselves anywhere in the moment on the globe. I think that a simple business plan should have that same effect, as opposed to having to piece together what your roadmap would look like using the old way, right? Which is what a lot of business plans look like. From, by the way, some really reputable trainers. I mean, no offense, but I think that you help with one organization that puts together a pretty comprehensive business plan. That's not to take anything away from it. It is not to do that. But it's to say that so many people find that so intimidating, they just walk away from it.
Right.
And they do nothing.
I like the concept, and I think you do the same thing in your own way, but we start with the end. What is the goal? Where do we want to be? And then we just reverse engineer.
Yes.
And it should turn out, like I like having at the end, there's just a little summary sheet. This is what I plan to achieve, and this is how I'm going to do it on a daily basis. There's different kinds of business plans. Some will do numbers and then have a marketing aspect. Okay, now that you know what you want to do, how are you going to do it? And that's always very helpful in a business planning workshop to talk about the conversion rates. Because some of us are guessing, what is the conversion rate on a farm? What are the conversion rates for FSBOs? What do we expect from our SOI? So having that information, now that's in the actual workshop, or at least is that what you're doing, Steve? You have holding a workshop in the office?
I do. My business planning does something similar to what I'm looking at. The questions you sent this morning, it's very, very similar. My reverse engineering says, tell me what your someday looks like. So trying to think out, it's hard for folks. It's hard for me sometimes. I mean, this isn't, no one's mastered this art. No one has.
Right.
Because no one knows what the future lies. We could have another year on this earth. We could have another month, unfortunately. So, but we have to plan as if what matters to us, if it came to be, is from where we sit today, our life would be better because of it. And if you start that way, then you can say, well, someday I'd like this. 5 years from now, it would look like this. 3 years from now, it would look like this. A year from now, it would look like this. Okay, so let's look at, so if we can reduce it to the year, then we can start making progress as to what a month would look like so that we can effectively track it.
Right.
And each one of these, right, is an incremental step. It's not like someday you show up and your someday goal is just there. You have to work on those things, and you have to work towards those things. And remember an old mentor of mine, and I think you would agree with this too, who said that, and this is really fascinating, that any of us on this call today, any of us are only 5 years away from the life we want for ourselves. 5 years.
Maximum.
And it's fascinating to think that's true. You
Oh,
know?
I think it's absolutely true. I envision it sometimes we're all in a car. You're in a car and you're going, whether you want to or not, the ride is happening. So then the question is, do you want to get out a map and actually go someplace that you want to go? Or do you just want to go along for the ride and see where you end up?
And
That's what the business plan does.
a lot of people do that if they have a high level of talent. You know, some people, the universe, God, whoever packaged people to look and sound like salespeople. I mean, they just have a natural ability to connect with people, and others not so much. The sad part, I say it's sad because the sad part of those who have a really high natural ceiling of achievement in real estate, and that's good enough. If they were just intentional, like on what's possible for them, they could change the world.
Right.
They could change the world. I mean, I'm not.
They're usually surpassed by the people who don't have that high level and actually work at it and are purposeful.
Yeah. I always tell the Babe Ruth story. You know, Babe Ruth, arguably the greatest baseball player that ever lived, I guess. But if you look at him, you know, he wouldn't look like the greatest physical specimen. He's known to drink and didn't have the best character. But, you know, I remember a mentor of mine once using him as the example and said, can you imagine what his life would look like if he would have strength conditioned, if he would have not drank, if he would have taken better care of his body, if he wouldn't have smoked, you know, if he would have gave a shit.
Right.
Imagine what he would have been. I mean, this is some people talking about a guy who pointed at a pitcher once and said, the next pitch you throw, I'm putting it over there, and did it. Like, if you know how hard it is to hit a baseball. Anyway, so yeah, it's just natural ceiling of achievement, great gifts. And for some, if that's enough, then that's enough. That no one, I would never try to force someone to be something they're not comfortable with. But I just feel like if there's greatness in you, you know, you let it out. Give it to the world.
And why not? I mean, why else are you here?
Well, because
we're here for this short, fun ride.
Yeah.
Maximize it.
Yeah. So these questions that you sent over are the road towards putting something together that can have great meaning, right?
Right.
It's a step. If you sit there today and you go, "Gosh, where do I even start?" Where on these series of questions, where would you encourage someone to start? When I look at your email, do I find these, Sean, from your perspective, in the order in which they should be approached? And if they are, can you share it? I'll let you just lead in here.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of the order I approach it. And there's no right or wrong, but the first one is, in general, just what is your goal for next year? Not vision, not just think now, what do I want to do? How much did I do in production, in transactions this year, in GCI, and what do I want to do next year? It could be bigger, right? It could be a stretch.
Yeah.
Or you may say, I think next year the market's going to be slower. Hitting the same amount I did this year is actually a stretch goal because I think there's going to be less opportunity. That's also okay. It's up to you what you think is going to happen and where you want to go. Is there a link for the questions? I can try and do that.
Yeah.
Mr. Techie over here.
Yeah. We can certainly share them with everyone right afterwards. Absolutely. John, I'll tell you what, John, since I have it, you go ahead, Sean. I'll forward this to John and anyone else that wants to email me on the side. Just email me at steve.salinas@compass.com and I'll return fire. How's that? Well, you do your thing here for a second.
Perfect. So that's the first step in this. And again, this is prep for the business planning. Go in knowing what you want to do, just numbers wise. Having done that, then take a second and create a small term vision. When I hit those numbers next year, what's that going to do in my life? You know, a lot of times we're talking about, like Steve even mentioned, we're doing 3 years out and 5 years out. What does my life look like? But this is for this specific business plan, and so that you can see some of the reward. Did you go on a longer vacation? Did you buy a different car? Did you do something with your home, with your kids? Gave money to a charity that you always wanted to write a big check to? Just what is the thing that's going to come from hitting these numbers? Because we need that, right? Real estate's a very tough business. We all know that. You have to have the vision in front of you to remind you why you're doing it.
That's right. And I think none of us would go through the brain damage of this business in particular if it wasn't the vehicle funding something bigger, right? I mean, like,
Right.
this is a
100%.
hard business, and it unfortunately it doesn't suffer fools. And if you're not intentional about what it is, how you show up in this business, there's just too much competition to make you meaningless, really, literally make you meaningless. Now, the good news about real estate is the 80-20 principle asserts itself in everything, and it's certainly true in our business. So 80% of that business that's out there is untapped by the 20%. They can't get to all of it. And so if you show up differently, you can. So yes, Sean, to me, you're doing this to fund a bigger purpose. And by the way, if you go through your questions, that purpose should should reveal itself to you. Now the key is having a relationship. You've heard me say that, right? Have a relationship with it. Does it matter so much? What does it mean if it doesn't happen? If it doesn't happen, does it matter to you if it doesn't happen? If it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter. I mean,
Right.
Anyway, so go ahead. I don't mean to.
That's actually when we're doing coaching with someone and we start off with the goal. That's one of the techniques, right? I want to make $500,000 next year. Okay, fantastic. What if you made 450 though? Well, that would be all right. That'd be really good. What if you made 4? I'll keep asking until the person says no, absolutely not. 100 less than 150 is not okay. Guess how much you're going to make next year? 150.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do what we have to do. So this needs to have such a driving force. You know, it's what gets you up early and keeps you up late, right? And it's got to be in front of you. So that's the vision. Then one of the things to prep on right now is what have you been tracking? And what would you like to be tracking? What should you be tracking? I don't like the word should, but a lot of us say, man, I know that I'm supposed to track this and I haven't been. Let's get a list going of things. And there's not an absolute list. Here's the 8 things you have to track. It depends on you and your business plan, but it starts by thinking it through. We can give some examples. The number one thing I track with agents is conversations as opposed to contacts. I always found contacts to be kind of misleading. The whole point of talking to people is to assess the need for an appointment. So that's what I define as a conversation. Saying hi and having them say, screw off, don't call me again is a contact, but what was the point? What are some other things we can track?
In the business plan?
No, in our business.
Well, in our business, to me, to me, again, reverse engineering starts with knowing the number. If I know the average cost of sale, that drives everything. So if I remember last week we talked about looking at your business for the last 12 months or the last 2 years, whatever sampling you have to pull from, you should be able to get your average cost of sale. And by that, then you can start translating how many units I have to sell. So you have to track that number. You should always know at any given moment how many sales you need to make in a year. That should be crystal clear to you. And so that you are tracking without fail the number of deals you need to make in a month, such that you're on track for that annual goal. So I always knew what my number was. When I don't have these numbers just yet at Compass, but we're going to be getting them soon, as you and I both know, because of our new modeling that's going to be laid out for us sales managers. But in my previous life, I always knew how many deals I needed to make for my office to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. So, and when was I? And I would always be looking 3 months out, because 3 months out allows me to know what's in my pipeline. Am I going to have enough coming so that because 3 months out, I can start impacting the results today on what's 3 months out if my 3 months out is not right. So I knew how many deals I needed to do in a month, and I knew how many deals I had 3 months out, and that would help me establish the cadence, help me how I showed up, the intentionality, right? With a passion with a purpose. Right. was how I wanted to be, how I wanted to show up. So yeah, if I'm answering your question right, that's what I would track.
I think you're giving the example of why, right? This is why on a daily basis there's things we have to track, because what you're describing is like, I know how much business I need to do. Well, the only reason you know that is because you know what your conversions are. You know how many transactions lead to how much money and how many closed out of how many started. So that's the very definition of what we're saying. What are some things you could track? Your conversations, your source of leads. A big part of the tracking question right now, where did my business come from in 2022? You have to go back to every single transaction and label it. What was the source of this business? So that when we create the new business plan, we're not guessing. We're building off of a base of something that if we weren't tracking it before, you have to go back and count it now.
Yeah. By the way, another result, again, maybe you're on I want to say that what you just described is I've known people forever that week after week, month after month, year after year, they change their goals, but they never change their behavior. They're always changing the goals, but they're not changing the behaviors. When you are doing what you're subscribing to or what you're offering here, you can actually affect behavior. Like you can show up differently day after day. And that's really the intent of a business plan, is to be so close to it that your behaviors start to change because you know that matters. Anyway, I digress again, but
it's true. Just the fact of measuring something changes it.
Yes.
It changes the behavior and the outcome. I mean, this isn't us as coaches, giving an old adage. This has been studied over and over. They do it in psychology departments.
Well, a goal should bring some constraints, right? And the benefits of having the goal and just being constrained to doing certain things is it helps bring clarity to what it is you're doing. So again, byproduct of all of this again is what we're talking about here. That's the fact. Right.
So I'm going to throw a couple out just because I don't want to run out of time, because there's 8 questions altogether in this prep sheet. So if you're writing these down, things to track might be conversations. It might be, where's the business coming from? Your budget, certainly. How much am I spending and on what? We never want to exceed 30% of GCI business expenses. A pipeline transaction tracker. It surprises me how many agents don't know how many transactions they've closed. I just always assume that mistakes happen, and never on purpose, but I assume checks are going to be cut incorrectly by escrow or by Compass, my broker. I've always assumed that that's going to happen. So I have my own pipeline. I know exactly what I'm expecting to come in, and if there's a mistake either way, I can fix it.
Right.
How many times do you have to contact a certain type of source to get a conversation? Very handy to know, which leads, of course, to conversions.
Yes.
The most important thing you can track, and what you're talking about, knowing your conversion rate, not only just give you that vision, right? But if you're not hitting your mark, you can sit down with Steve, you can sit down with your sales manager, your coach, and say, I wanted to do this. I wanted to do 40 transactions this year, and I'm not. Well, we go back to the top of the funnel. Okay, how many conversations did you have? Well, that was lots of conversations, but looks like we didn't get enough listing appointments. So then we need to work on our close. Or, hey, we got listing appointments, but we didn't get listings. Oh, we need to work on our listing presentation. Or we got them, but then we couldn't get them. If you're tracking each step, then it's easy to go in and see where the breakdown is, because we all have weaknesses. Somewhere in the chain, there's always a weakness we can improve on. But you have to know. You have to have tracked it to know where it's happening.
Well, the conversion ratio is next to knowing what your goals are in terms of units and how that equates to the income you're trying to drive. Knowing your batting average is the most important thing.
Right.
Because if it takes you 4 attempts to get one, or if it takes you 2 to get one, or batting 500 versus 275 or 175, you'll adopt some coaching relationships when you're less than 50%. You should, because if you're getting 4 at-bats per month and you're only securing 1 listing, I would, that's where there's a lot of opportunity there. The gal the gal that was speaking at the regional meeting was talking about doing open houses, and I kind of chimed in there for a second. I was just trying to provide the help. How much I applaud someone that's working that hard, is not giving up, but is getting beat down by the market. How important it is to have someone who's building you back up so that you don't stop punching,
Right.
That I felt, did you not feel that in her? Like you could almost feel like doing almost like she was getting emotional. And I don't know if she's on this call, but forgive me for singing.
I think she was getting emotional.
But she was, yeah.
hard.
She was like, just the market is beating me down.
Right.
And no, you've got to punch back. And here, be more strategic and more mindful of what. Yeah. Anyway, so
But one of the things you can do, and that's an example.
which helps.
Compass has all these benefits. Right? And we talk about our technology a lot, and God bless it. You guys know me; I'm not techie, so I'm in awe of it all the time. I think the biggest value add Compass has is the people that surround you. I've never been in a brokerage where people were more willing to help, or where you're surrounded by more high quality, high producing agents. And you have to have that when the market's tough. You have to be able to come back and say, one person showed up at my open house. This sucks. I don't know what's going on with my business. And there's someone there to say, hold on, let's chat. And keep you in the game and keep you punching. Because the only thing that matters is that you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Avail yourselves of that. Be at the office. Come to the meetings. That was, for anyone who missed it, the regional sales meeting with the panel. We've never gotten more compliments. That's the stuff, man. That's the juice that you can't get other places, but you got to come participate in it. Anyone who missed it, don't miss the next one. Be a part of it. It makes a huge difference. Okay, tracking. The next one is SWOT analysis, SWOT. That stands for, you make up 4 boxes with each letter. Strengths, weaknesses,
opportunities, threats.
It's a business analysis that we all need to do. So you would do a SWOT analysis. Similar to that, another one is the start, stop, more, less. What do I need to start doing that I haven't been doing? What do I need to stop doing that's not generating business or it's not dollar productive? What do I need more of in my business, and what do I need less of? If you sit and think about that now, it'll have a huge impact on actually creating your business plan. The next one after that, number 6, new pillars. What am I going to add a new source of business? Generally speaking, I don't know about you, Steve, but I'm big on never adding more than one at a time. We got to get that boulder moving and got to get momentum before I can leave it and add the next one.
Well, I'm so old school. I don't believe in adding much of anything until you've mastered the thing is that you need to master first. I think that's a mistake a lot of us make, including myself. You know, we want to keep moving fast, get on to the next shiny object. We haven't mastered the thing in front of us, and mastery pays so much. Anyway, again, I can preach here, but
well, wouldn't you say 99% of the time the first one to master is your sphere? Your sphere and your CRM have to be 100% dialed in.
Well, I would even go one step back, Sean, if I could. I would master your presentation. That's my number one priority. If I have confidence in my presentation, I'm not afraid to speak to anybody. Right?
That's very good.
I mean, to me, once I figured that out for myself, Mike, you talk about your conversion ratios going up. Once you knew what it is to say, how to say it, when to say it, how to say it to a different person. I mean, emotional intelligence only comes from experience. You can't get it in a book. You can listen to me preach about it. You can listen to you can listen to Robert Refkin, but you have got to get in the ring, and you need a fight trainer in the corner saying right hook, because we can see it. We can see the punch coming. Sometimes the person in the ring can't. And again, all the importance of having a coach helping you with your conversion ratios. But once you master your presentation, Sean, I think that unlocks the world opens up to you when you've mastered, particularly your listing presentation and then how you present to buyers.
Your entire attitude, your level of confidence.
Yeah, it just changes.
Changes forever. Great, fantastic point. Number 7 is now to think about your ideal day. I know what it takes to be good. Everyone here knows what it takes to be good in their business and be successful. So what does your ideal day look like? Do you have a morning routine that starts you off? Do you do your lead generation in the morning? We can't always follow it. I understand that, but when we talk about a business plan, Steve, and reverse engineering, what we're really doing is engineering back to a template calendar. On average, this is what my week looks like. And it's maybe 60% full. I mean, you don't have appointments in there yet. You don't have all the crap that pops up in this business. But you have the really important things, like every morning for an hour, I call people in my sphere. It never changes. I don't let anybody move that. I don't take appointments. What does your template calendar look like? Because those are the steps that the business plan will develop for you. And then if I just follow this calendar, it's that simple. If I just do what it says each day, I'll hit every one of my goals and have that life I described. It really is that simple, don't you think?
Well, it is. I'd like to, as we run out of runway here a little bit, you just reminded me of something I thought I'd like, be helpful to share here. So you ever heard the saying, Sean, success comes in threes?
I don't think I'm familiar with that, no.
No. I guess when I was newer to the business, I've heard that phrase on more than one occasion, that it takes 3 no's to get a yes. When you're newer, you got to go on 3 listing appointments to get 1. And that in just about everything, any endeavor you go down, it takes about 3 cracks at just about anything before you start to see breakthroughs. And then it got me, when I was listening to you speak this morning, it reminded me of this thing called the 1-3-5 rule. Are you familiar with that, Sean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if it's true, success comes in threes, and you can't do everything, because when you go through your goals, the next step for you to identify is, what's the one thing on this list of these goals that I've created, such that by having that one, the others wouldn't seem as important, or would fall into place. Now, no one's going to stop at just one objective. So my challenge to all of you is to pick 3. Pick 3 goals on this list that you say to yourself, of all the things on this list, all the objectives that I have, these are the 3 that are going to matter most. And around those 3, so you've taken those 3. They're now your 3 priorities. And what you want is, or I should say, for that one goal, you have 3 priorities. And around those 3 priorities, you want to establish 5 tactical initiatives that will support the outcome, right? So one goal, these are the 3 strategies I'm going to implement to see that thing comes to life. And these are the 5 tactical things, right? Things tactical, right, that I'm going to do. They're going to ensure that comes to life. When I heard that years and years ago, that really helped me get clarity again. So I just wanted to share that. The 1-3-5 rule: find the 3 goals that matter. Success comes in threes on the list. Then for each one of those goals, for each one, 3 priorities, strategies, 3 strategies, and then 5 tactical initiatives you're going to implement to ensure its outcome. I thought I wanted to share that, because to me that's a tip that really helped me a ton back in 1998. Shit.
Well, that would be the business plan right there. You walk away with one major goal, 3 definite priorities, and 5 strategies for each priority. It ends up in your calendar, and away you go.
Yep.
I haven't heard it in a while, but you're right. That's awesome. All right, I'll slide the last one in here. We only have a minute left. The 5th one is kind of a bonus, but it's very useful. It's similar to where's your business coming from. It's called create an avatar. Sit down over the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and think about 2 or at most 3 clients that you loved. I loved working with these clients. If every one of my clients was like this, I'd be the happiest person in the world. Once you've picked these 3 clients, start writing down everything you know about them. Create like you're an FBI profiler. Create a dossier on them. Everything. Things that have nothing to do. Where do their kids go to school? What political persuasion are they? What are their hobbies? Everything you know or might know about them. And you'll usually end up being amazed how similar the 3 are. And once we know that generally speaking, people flock together with other people like themselves. Once you create this avatar, we'll take this business plan and we'll aim it at that target audience. Make your job mean something to you by working with people that you love working with. Because we can't do all the business. You can't come close. We might as well target the ones we love, and still have more business than we can ever handle.
Amen.
Create an avatar.
Well, the great news is when you're on track for your goal, Sean, you can then begin to select who you let into your crazy little world.
Right, right. So these were 8 questions for you guys that you would do before the business planning workshop to help you get set up. Steve will send out, and I can certainly do emails. So either one of us, if you want a copy, I think these are going to be coming up in some of the sales meetings also. But you always get the sneak peek here.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, this is shouldn't. I guess it goes without saying, but nothing should ever go without saying. Go to the business planning workshop, or get with your coach if you do it independently with your own coach. But the idea of doing this business next year without a detailed, specific plan is pure craziness, especially if you expect any different outcome at all. Create a business plan.